Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.
Hello everyone, welcome to LUKMAAN IAS. We are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis of 18th and 19th July today. Okay, so 18th was Sunday and today it's Monday. Okay, so we are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis. So let us quickly see the topics that we are going to understand, and meanwhile, while understanding the topic, if you have any query related to any question, you can ask your query then and there itself. Okay, so the topics that we are going to cover are listed over here. These are taken from the Hindu newspaper dated 18th and 19th of July. Okay, so one of the topic is midday meal leave a long lasting impact study. Okay, so our study was conducted to assess the impact of midday meal scheme of the government. Okay, so what is midday meal scheme? It is a government scheme. Under this particular scheme, what we do, we try to we give like food grains to the school going children. Okay, so a study was conducted by various organizations. We will understand what was the context in which the study was conducted. We are going to understand about the outcomes of this particular study, okay, related to midday meal scheme. So this particular topic was there in page number 1 of the Hindu in the Delhi edition, okay, Delhi or Chennai edition. Okay, so I don't remember exactly, because like once you open the Hindu e-paper, you get by default Delhi or Chennai, so any edition that you have selected over there. The second topic that we are going to understand is related to sensitive and precise. Okay, so we are going to understand what is sensitive and precise, what is the context of this particular article, and this is important under society section of General Studies paper 1 and government scheme with reference to GS paper 2. Okay, so this was there in page number 6 of the Hindu newspaper. Okay, page number 6. So this is the editorial page of the Hindu newspaper. Then we have another topic which is leaving the past behind. Okay, so this is related to international relations. Here we are going to understand about various developments with reference to Afghanistan crisis. Okay, so the issues, the security related issues that are arising in Afghanistan because of withdrawal of the troops from the soil of Afghanistan by the US military forces as well as the NATO forces. Okay, NATO stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization. We will understand about NATO also. Okay, and after then this topic was also there in page number 6 of the Hindu newspaper today. Okay, then we are going to understand about time to build a valuable economy. Okay, so this topic is under Indian economy. So here we are going to understand why it is important for India to build a valuable economy. Okay, it was there in page number 7. And after then we are going to look into a topic which is related with the exam that you are preparing. Okay, it is civil services aspirants to be heard today. Okay, so like hearings are going on in the Supreme Court of India with reference to the like application filed by the civil services aspirants last year. Okay, so we are going to understand with reference to that. It is under social justice perspective. We are going to understand how we are connecting the topics with the syllabus. Okay, so this is there in page number 10 of the Hindu newspaper today. And apart from this, we are going to understand about curbs on Mastercard. Okay, so as you know, like in India, like if you go to a bank, let's consider State Bank of India or any other bank, you get debit card, you get credit cards. So the issuer of these debit and credit card may be the bank, but like they have a tie-up with Mastercard or Visa. We are going to understand about Mastercard, why the RBI has put restrictions on the Mastercard. Okay, we are going to understand that. So it was there in frequently asked questions page of the Hindu of Sunday. Okay, dated yesterday. Okay, 18th of July. So this was in page number 11. Apart from this, there were few sections on yesterday's newspaper that is related to science and technology. Although I have not covered over here, but I am going to discuss those topics also. Okay, so with this, now let us take the questions one by one. Meanwhile, anyone having any question till now, you can ask your question so that like I can address your question before I start the session. Yes, any one of you having any questions till now?
Sir, this topic has been both for Sunday and Monday topics, sir.
Yeah, right. See, I have covered only the important topic from the Sunday's newspaper, because Sunday we get a magazine also in the Hindu newspaper, and two specific pages are important. One of the pages frequently asked questions page, and second page is related to science and technology. Okay. So this week the science and technology page did not have very elaborate articles. Okay. So that's why I skipped them in the this particular section, I mean in the PPT, but I am going to discuss about those developments also. Okay. So this is the first topic for the day. This is important for the prelims examination. Okay. Under government schemes. Okay. In prelims examination you get questions from government scheme. So this particular topic is important under government schemes. So let us see the heading. It says midday meals leave a long lasting impact. Okay. And it was established by a study that was conducted. Okay. So you know that midday meal scheme is a government scheme. Under this scheme, like school going children are provided with food grains, okay, like lunch facilities in government schools, okay, in India. So this particular study says that like this particular scheme has a long lasting impact. What do we mean by long lasting impact? It means intergenerational impact. Intergenerational impact means, like, let's consider today there are children who are going to government schools, they are getting midday meal food. So it is aiding them, it is helping them in developing good health. So it is benefiting them nutritionally. So the women, the girl childs who are going to these schools and getting benefited out of the midday meal scheme, they are going to be healthier mothers tomorrow. Okay. So once they get married, after then, like, they are going to have babies. So they are going to be healthier, and the babies that they are going to have, they will have better health outcome as compared to undernourished child. Okay. So we are going to understand about that particular perspective in this through this particular newspaper. Okay. So in which thing it was published. So it was published in a journal which is known as Nature Communications. Okay. So this particular study with reference to midday meal scheme was published in a journal which is known as Nature Communications. Okay. So this particular journal said that girls who had access to free lunches provided at the government schools had children with higher height to age ratio. What do we mean by higher height to age ratio? It is known as stunting. Okay, like stunting means, like, if there is a child, the age of the child is good, but like its height is not good, that is known as stunting. Means, like, with reference to age the height is not increasing, but because of midday meal scheme, the children are going to have better age to height ratio or height to age ratio. Means, like, they are going to have better height with reference to their age. This is known as stunting. Apart from this, we have some other factors also, like stunting, we have wasting. What do we mean by wasting? Wasting means, like, when a child grows, right, he grows taller, but the thing is he does not have adequate body mass index. Means, like, he lacks in body mass index. What do we mean by this? Means, like, he is very thin as compared to his height. Okay, that is known as wasting. So when we compare the nutritional outcome in a child, we see stunting, we see wasting, we see some other parameters also. Okay, so like there are some indices, okay, some indexes that are being published. One of the indexes known as like there are many such indexes. One is known as this particular thing, Human Development Index. So Human Development Index measures these ratios like stunting, wasting, etc. So after reading this particular article, you should also focus on understanding about Human Development Index, HDI. Okay, so we you should look into details about Human Development Index, like which organization publishes this particular index, and apart from this, what are the parameters that are taken into account while calculating the Human Development Index. What is the what is India's rank in the Human Development Index in the latest year? Like, if the 2021 index has been released, so what was the rank of India? What was the previous rank of India? Okay, so this topic is associated with that one also, and this is important for the prelims examination. Okay, Human Development Index is important, and midday meal scheme is important under government scheme. You should understand like when midday meal scheme was released, okay, and like how much, you know, achievement has been made by this particular scheme. So these are the important, you know, things that are associated. So let us understand which organizations have conducted this particular study, okay, a study related to midday meal scheme. So there are two organizations. One of the organization is University of Washington, okay. So researchers from the University of Washington and economists and nutrition experts from the International Food Policy Research Institute, okay. So International Food Policy Research Institute in short is known as IFPRI, okay. This is known as International Food Policy Research Institute. If you read newspaper frequently, you will come across the name of this particular institute time and again. It releases credible data by, you know, conducting credible research studies, okay. So that's why the study that was conducted by the International Food Policy Research Institute is being given, you know, weight by the Hindu newspaper as well as, you know, by different governments, okay. So this is the thing. So this is this particular organization releases similar data not only for India but also for many other countries around the world, okay. So now let us understand when this particular scheme was released, when the midday meal scheme was released. So this scheme was launched in 1995 to provide children in government schools with a free cooked meal with a minimum energy content of 450 kilocalorie. This is a very factual information, the last one, and this is highly important, okay. This is highly important, the last line. Why? Because this gives you a information when this particular scheme was released, and at the same time this line makes it clear that like this particular scheme is effective only in government schools, okay. So midday meal is not being provided in private schools, it is provided in government schools. So it was launched for government schools in the year of 1995. Later on they might have included the semi-government schools also, means those schools that are funded, okay, substantially by the central or state government, okay. So since here the question comes about education, see, like when we talk about midday meal scheme, it means midday meal is being provided to the school going students. So when we talk about education, okay, education is a subject in which of the list. So if you read the 7th schedule of the Constitution of India, in the 7th schedule we have 3 lists. One of the list is known as union list, okay, one of the list is known as union list. So under the union list all the subject matters are mentioned in which the union government is empowered to make legislation, to make laws. And then we have state list, second one is known as state list, okay. In the state list the subject matters are mentioned in which the state governments are empowered to make laws, okay. And apart from this the third is concurrent list, third talks about concurrent list, okay. So in the concurrent list all those subject matters are mentioned, okay, all those subject matters are mentioned where the central government as well as state governments can make legislation. But if there is any, you know, discrepancy or if there is any clash of, you know, clash related to some of the matters in this particular list, then the law made by the union government will prevail over the law made by the state government, okay. So this is mentioned in the 7th schedule of the Constitution of India. Where it is mentioned? It is mentioned in the 7th schedule of the Constitution of India, okay. So now you tell me, like, in which list do you think the education as a subject might have been mentioned? Is it in the union list, or is it in the state list, or is it in the concurrent list? Yes, anyone who are online?
Concurrent list.
Okay, so Tanshu says it is concurrent list. What about other people? Mitesh, Shiva? Okay, no problem. See, if you don't know the answer, that's all right, but like I hope you understood the question, okay. So the yeah, can you speak aloud once more?
Education is the union list, sir.
Education is the
Union list.
concurrent list,
Sir, union list.
union list. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so one of you is saying it is concurrent list, other person is saying it is union list, okay. So the thing is, here comes, you know, here comes Like in UPSC examination, they are not asking difficult questions. They ask very easy question, provided that we should have that insight to look into those aspects when we are reading the newspaper. So here we are reading the newspaper with reference to a particular scheme which is known as Midday Meals scheme. So Midday Meals scheme is associated with education. Education is mentioned in one of these lists. I am not telling you this particular list. I want you to explore and find out this particular list. Okay. For finding out this list, one thing is like you can refer your regular Indian polity book. Apart from this, you can also refer the Bayer Act. Bayer Act means the Constitution of India itself. If you visit the Ministry of Law and Justice, like Ministry of Law website, okay, there is a website of the Ministry of Law. In that particular ministry, like you will find updated the constitution. So you can download the Constitution of India from there and you can see these lists and items in these lists. Okay. So like I can discuss more about it, but at this point of time, so we have many articles to discuss, but let us understand, like you have to look into the Human Development Index, you have to understand about the different lists. And apart from this, this is not the only way in which sharing of power happens between the central and the state government. So in this thing, with reference to law making authority, but what about financial devolution, like how the financial powers are distributed between the central government and the state government. Okay, so those things are also there, those things are also part of the constitution. Okay, so we have the 15th Finance Commission report also. So many other things are associated. So with this, so at this point of time, let us just restrict our discussion to this particular point. But the last point is very important. It talks about that this particular scheme was launched in the year of 1995, and so like to provide school going children's free cooked meal with a minimum energy content of 450 kilocalorie. Okay, this data is also important. So with this, now let us understand what other things associated with this. What are the outcomes of this particular study, the study that was conducted. So this study it found that the midday meal scheme was associated with 13 to 32% of the improvement in the height for age Z scores in India between 2006 and 2016. Okay, height for age means stunting. Okay, so when we talk about body mass index, okay, so this is the thing. So height is low but age is increasing. It means the students are having stunting growth. But this midday meal scheme is associated with 13 to 32% increment or improvement in the health of the children. Okay, so more than 3 Indian children are stunted. Okay, more than 1 in 3 Indian children. So they are saying like at least 33% of Indian children are stunted. Okay, means like 1 in every 3 students. Okay, so 1 in every 3 students are stunted in India. What it shows that the nutritional outcome or nutritional level in Indian children is not good. Okay, so like they are talking about the entire India, so it is a point of concern. And these data that are mentioned over here, this is also important for your means exam. Okay, so while you are writing an answer, you should also try to give some factual data like these, okay, in your answer, that makes your answer enhance. Okay, it improves your answer. Then so it says that the linkages between midday meals and lower stunting in the next generation were stronger in the lower socio-economic strata and likely work through women's education, fertility and use of health services. Okay, so it says that the relation between midday meal scheme and lower stunting is very strongly associated with those people who are from the lower socio-economic strata of the society. Means like there are many people in this society in India who have lower economic they have lower access to food grains. So this is going to have very good impact in their health, and it has intergenerational capacity of improving the health outcomes. Means like today let's consider so this particular study itself, it has studied data related to 2005, and it said like those girls like who were going to school in the year of 2005, now most of them got married, and after then their children are having much better health outcomes. They are having lesser stunting ratio. Okay, so this particular midday meal scheme talks about that there is intergenerational, okay, there is intergenerational benefit of the midday meal scheme, especially for those people who are from the lower socio-economic strata. Okay, and at the same time it says, however, only 6% of girls who were aged between 6 to 10 years had benefited from this scheme in 1999. So they are pointing to a year which is 2 decades ago. It is 2021. Now they are saying in 1999, in the year of 1999, only 6% of girls who were aged between 6 and 10 years benefited from this scheme. So that's why, you know, presently, like if we talk about like in 2010 or 2000, like in these years, their children were, you know, more stunted. But now the penetration of midday meal scheme has increased. Earlier it was 6%. Now, you know, 46% of you know, girls, school going girls are getting benefited out of the midday meal scheme. Okay, so the findings of this study exacerbate concerns that the interruptions to the schooling and to the midday meal scheme could have even longer term impacts, hurting the nutritional health of the next generation as well. Okay, what this study concludes, it says that, like, you know, because of pandemic, because of COVID-19 pandemic, most of the schools were shut down in India. Since schools were shut down, so midday meal scheme was also halted. So those students were not getting benefited out of the midday meal scheme. So the midday meal scheme is not only going to have shorter term impact, it is going to have a longer term impact also. Why? Because we have seen that midday meal scheme has intergenerational benefit. Okay, so that's all about this particular topic. I hope you understood it. With this, now let us move to the next topic for the day. Okay, so during the discussion, if any one of you have any question related to anything, you can ask me your question, so I'll try to answer your questions. Okay, so this question says sensitive and precise. Okay, this topic says sensitive and precise. This topic is important under society and government schemes. Okay, so let us understand what is the context and how, you know, this particular issue is associated with your exam. Okay, so it says trafficking needs a wholesome approach that is cognizant of the causative factors. Okay, here we are talking about trafficking. Okay, so trafficking in human being. Okay, if you have read the Constitution of India, you might have read a particular article that says trafficking in human being and forced labor is prohibited. Okay, so there is an article, a specific article that talks about this particular concern, that trafficking in human being and forced labor is prohibited in India. Okay, it is not allowed. Okay, so recently, why this is in news? Because recently the government of India has come up with a draft legislation. Okay, draft legislation means they have, you know, they have made a policy paper, they have issued this particular policy paper for public consultation, and they are, you know, taking feedback of the public before they are introducing in the Parliament of India. Okay, so they have not yet introduced this particular paper in the Parliament of India, but like they have created a draft legislation related to, you know, trafficking of human beings. Okay, so when we talk about trafficking, so there are many forms of trafficking. Okay, so there are, you know, if we talk about forced labor, let's consider, you know, there is a businessman over here in some metropolitan cities, and they bring, you know, some workers from rural areas of the country. They make these workers work under them, they do not pay them sufficient wage, and at the same time they do not give them, you know, opportunity to move away also. Okay, so that can be considered as a forced labor. Okay, so so this can also be considered as a trafficking in human being. Okay, and apart from this, trafficking also happens for sexual exploitation. Okay, so many girls, okay, small like young girls are being trafficked into, you know, trafficked for sexual exploitation purposes. So that is also strictly prohibited in India, and we already have existing legislations that talk about, you know, sexual exploitation and all. But apart from this, the government of India has brought about a new legislation, and this particular legislation, you know, makes most of the provisions very clear, and this particular legislation is also being criticized because of multiple factors. So we are going to understand why this particular legislation is being criticized, okay, and we are going to understand what are the areas that are being covered under this particular legislation by the government of India, okay. So I hope you have understood the context of this particular topic, okay. So the author says that undoubtedly trafficking is a pernicious offense, okay, it is a pernicious offense, one that societies and government must have zero tolerance for, and yet handling to the offense of trafficking needs precision, not a sledgehammer, okay. So this line seems to be very typical. The author is saying that trafficking is a very heinous crime. It is a heinous crime, but the thing is, like, dealing with all forms of trafficking with a sledgehammer, means like with a high hand, is not the right way. It is saying that we should have precision in dealing with, you know, crimes of trafficking, and at the same time we should have, you know, we should have targeted approach towards it. We should not have a one size fits all kind of crimes approach, okay. So the author says that in its current form, the draft means this particular legislation has only been drafted by the government of India. It has not been introduced in the Parliament of India. Once it is introduced in the any house of the Parliament, it can be introduced in the Lok Sabha or it can be introduced in the Rajya Sabha. If it is introduced in one of the houses, after then this particular house will pass this particular legislation with a simple majority. Why? Because this is not a money bill and this is not a constitutional amendment bill. So that particular first house will pass it with a simple majority. After then it will go to the next house. The next house will look into the clauses of this particular bill. They may also pass it, they may reject it, they may, you know, suggest some kind of amendment into this particular bill. If the second house also passes, then it will go to the President of India, and the President will have you know, all the choices whether to ratify this particular thing, means to give his assent, okay, to this bill, or to reject the bill, or to resend it for consideration, okay. So he has multiple choices, he has a pocket veto also. So now let us understand that it says that in its current form, the draft Trafficking in Persons Prevention, Care and Rehabilitation Bill 2021. It is very important for you that you should remember this name, this line, because many of the time we just read it, okay. It just passes through our mind, but we do not remember it, okay. It is important that you should remember the name of different bills, so that, like, while you are writing an answer, you can reproduce the exact name of a particular bill, because it is a factual data, okay. Name of the bill is Trafficking in Persons Prevention, Care and Rehabilitation Bill 2021, okay. So it is a draft bill and it seems to be lacking in nuance, means like this particular bill seems to be lacking in nuance, means like this particular bill has not considered the minute details or minute issues associated with trafficking, okay. Even if well intentioned to stamp out exploitative trafficking, okay. Intention might be good, but the minute details have not been considered according to the author, okay. So the author says that the bill aims at preventing and countering trafficking in persons, particularly women and children, okay. So what is the aim of this particular bill? Its aim is preventing and countering trafficking in persons, particularly women and children, okay. Women and children are mostly, you know, trafficked into various occupations, okay, that they do not like, okay, to provide for care, protection and rehabilitation to the victims while respecting their rights and creating a supportive legal, economic and social environment for them, okay. So the aim of this particular bill is very good. Why? Because, like, at one hand it tries to, you know, prevent the trafficking of persons, especially women and children, and at the same time those persons who are being rescued from you know, these trafficked you know, activities, these people will be given proper rights and they will be given proper political, economic and social environment for, you know, proper development, okay. So it will include offences, okay. This particular bill will include offences taking place not only within India but also outside it, okay. So this particular bill has, you know, cross national jurisdiction, What do we mean by cross-national or transnational jurisdiction? It means under this particular bill, the officers will be allowed to, okay, investigate into offences that are taking place not within India but outside it also, okay. So some people are being trafficked from India to neighboring countries like Bangladesh, Nepal, or some other countries like Afghanistan, etc. Okay, so cross-national jurisdiction is also allowed under this particular thing. Okay, so it envisages the setting up of anti-trafficking committee at the state and national level. This is a very important information with reference to this article. So under this particular bill, okay, the bill that the government is going to introduce, this bill has a clause that they are going to create anti-trafficking committee at the state and national levels to implement the provisions when passed. Okay, yes. So any one of you having any question? I think someone was trying to ask a question, I think. Okay. So with this, now let me move to the next page of the same topic. So we have understood the context that like government has come up with a draft bill. They have not introduced in the parliament it yet, but like before this also there was a similar bill that was introduced by the government in the year of 2018 that was passed by the Lok Sabha, but like it was not passed by the Rajya Sabha. So that particular bill lapsed. And this is a new form of the bill, so it has various provisions that are different from the older one. Okay, so let us understand about criticism related to this bill. Okay, so what are the criticisms? See, especially the criticisms are very important because like there are many questions in the mains examination that says like critically analyze or critically explain this particular topic. Okay, so this is the thing. So once you are understanding a topic, you should have different opinion viewpoints about that topic. Okay, so let us understand. It says like vociferous opposition has arisen over the key aspect of handling over investigation in trafficking crimes related to NIA. Okay, so now what is NIA? NIA stands for National Investigation Agency. Okay, NIA stands for National Investigation Agency. Okay, NIA stands for National Investigation Agencies. So what is happening? National Investigation Agency works at the national level. So it is a small division. Okay, it is a small division that is tasked with most important case. Okay, that is tasked with most heinous crimes to investigate upon. So the thing is, one of the criticism is with reference to how the cases are being handled over to the National Investigation Agency by different forces. Okay, so both by those who believe in that it would burden the already stressed unit further, and those arguing that this move would be an attack on federalism by removing local enforcement agencies out of the picture. Okay, so there are two types of people. One type of people say that National Investigation Agency is already overburdened. Okay, so it is manned with a lesser number of officers. National Investigation Agency has lesser number of officers. It is overburdened with lot of cases, and now how the cases are being handled over to the National Investigation Agency is being criticized, because on one hand people are saying that this particular organization is already overburdened. Now if you give more responsibilities on this particular organization, then there will be cases that this particular organization will have high number of pending investigating cases. Okay, and on the other hand there are people who are saying that it is an attack on federalism in India. Okay, how it is an attack on federalism? Because this particular bill tries to remove the local enforcement agencies from investigating cases related to trafficking. Okay, related to trafficking. So what do we mean by federalism? Federalism is a structure. Okay, it is a structure of governance where we have different level of governments, and all the level of government are working independently of one another. So India is not a proper federal country. We have a quasi-federal country. We are a quasi-federal country. Okay, means we have a federalism that is cooperative federalism. Okay, it is not a strict federalism. If we talk about example of strict federalism, the example of strict federalism may be of United States of America. Okay, so our structure of federalism is similar to the Canada. Okay, so Canada has a union government, they have a like state level governments. In India also we have union government, we have state level governments. Okay, so union government is vested with more authority as compared to state level governments. Okay, so I hope you understood the first point. After this, okay, another key criticism of the bill has been its broad definitions of victims. Is making of refusal to consider consensual sexual activity for commerce. Okay, so second criticism with reference to this particular bill is that, like so it has a very broad definition of victims, so it considers most of the people as victims. Okay, so like there are people like who are into some kind of sexual activity for financial benefits, that is consensual in nature, so that is not being coerced by one upon other. So that particular thing is also being considered as this thing, sexual trafficking. It is being considered as a trafficking under this particular bill, and it is going to have ramifications for people who are actually into this particular business. Okay, so this would only land up criminalizing sex work and victimization of the exploited. Okay, so bringing pornography into the definition of sexual exploitation would not allow even for any adult consumption of non-exploitative consensual material. What it means that like in India, like in many parts of India, there are people who watch sexual contents in their mobile phones or in their computers. Okay, so in some of these sexual contents, the people who are performing the activity, they may not be adults. So the person who are viewing those videos are also being considered as criminals under this particular bill. Okay, so this particular thing like pornography, okay, pornography means it is something which is illegal in India. Okay, but the thing is, watching the videos is discretionary on the individual part, so that is also being considered illegal, and like so this is going to the definition of trafficking under this particular bill includes that thing also. Apart from this, reporting of offences has been made mandatory. Okay, with penalties for non-reporting, but those with an understanding of the torturous process point to the fact that the victims often do not want to a complaint to be recorded. The mention of death penalty for various forms of aggravated trafficking of offences needs to be flagged too. So there are other things also. Under this particular law, they are saying that offences must be recorded. If someone fails to record an offence related to trafficking, in that case it will be considered as an offence. Okay, so but like in many cases there are victims who like although they report, but they don't want that their report must be registered. Okay, so there are victims who report the kind of activities that has happened with them, but like they are they are hesitant to get this particular thing registered because they are aware of the long drawn process for getting for getting justice. Okay, so this is also a point of criticism. Apart from this, like there is a mention of death penalty also for various forms of aggravated crimes. Okay, so what is the way forward with reference to this particular thing? The way forward is that the government would do well to scan and incorporate the responses to its bill in order to ensure that the fences does not eat the crop. Okay, so here under this particular bill, what they have made it clear that like government should incorporate those criticism point also, and they should try to fine tune this particular legislation. Okay, so while sexual exploitation and trafficking can be ghastly crimes invoking public horror, for the state not to employ a wholesome approach cognizant of the causative factors, one that would be sensitive and precise would be equally horrific. Okay, so this is the concluding point of the author. I hope you understood about this topic. Okay, so with this now let us take the next topic for the day. It says leaving the past behind. Okay, leaving the past behind. This is a very important topic under the international relations. Okay, so let us understand what is the importance of this particular topic, and there are many issues that are associated with this topic. Okay, so it says that Afghan's neighborhood must help it protect the democratic gains of the last 2 decades. Okay, so the thing is, what has happened? The Afghan went into a state of war. Okay, so Afghan did not declare war upon America, but like some one of the Taliban leader, okay, Osama bin Laden, okay, he was being targeted by the United States of America for a terrorist activity that he has done in the United States of America. And in the year of 2001, the United States of America entered into the soil of Afghanistan. Not only the USA has entered into Afghanistan, but along with USA, the NATO forces were also deployed in Afghanistan. Okay, NATO stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Okay, so this is a security organization of the European countries. Okay, so there are multiple members of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Most of these countries are European countries. Okay, so there is a like if we read the if we read the constitution of the NATO, okay, if we read the charter of the NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, there is Article 5. The Article 5 of NATO says that an attack or a threat of attack on any one of us will be considered as an attack or threat of attack on all of us. Means like under this particular organization, okay, so I don't exactly remember what is the exact number of countries that are part of NATO. Let's consider, like, for example, let's consider there are 28 nations. Okay, let's consider there are 28 nations, but like there are many more nations under NATO. So if one of the countries who is a part, okay, who is a member of the NATO, if one of the country goes on war with any other country, then the NATO members will consider that like this is a war declared upon whole NATO. So all of them will attack together. Okay, so that is the essence of the clause 5 of the charter of NATO. Okay, that is the essence of clause of charter of NATO. And United States of America is one of the prominent member of the NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So when United States of America declared a state of war, when United States of America, okay, sent its army or troops into the soil of Afghanistan, so it did not station only its forces, it also stationed forces from the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Okay, so now we need to understand, like that was the year of 2001. Now it is 2021. It has been 20 years since then. And the United States of America stationed its forces against Taliban. Okay, so Taliban, okay, Osama bin Laden was the leader of Taliban. Okay, so like they wanted to withdraw Taliban from the legitimate forces from the Afghan soil, and so United States of America helped in the establishment of a democratically elected government in Afghanistan. Now presently the president of Afghanistan is Ashraf Ghani. Okay, so he has a democratically established government, but Taliban was not a weak force. It has continued its struggle against the forces of United States of America and also against the NATO forces, and there has been a state of war between Taliban and all the forces that were stationed in Afghanistan. Okay, so since then like more than lakhs of innocent people have died, thousands of security personnel have died into the soil of Afghanistan. But recently, like when Donald Trump was the president of United States of America, he has declared that they are going to withdraw their troops from the soil of Afghanistan. Okay, and they had given a date of September of 2021, but the Taliban forces were saying like they should withdraw their forces as soon as possible, and Taliban continued their struggle. Not only struggle, they were involved into violent activities and they have killed multiple people. Okay, but now when President Joe Biden came into power, what he did, Joe Biden actually withdrawn his forces from the soil of Afghanistan. Now the important, base stations, okay, the important stations where they had their forces, from those stations also they have withdrawn their forces. Now the Taliban had had taken it as an opportunity, and now they have started marching towards capturing more territories in Afghanistan. Since Afghanistan is a neighbor of India, okay, officially India considers Afghanistan as its neighbor, but if we talk about practically in geographical terms, India does not share a border line with Afghanistan, okay. According to the map of India that the government of India officially proclaims, okay, according to that we have border with Afghanistan, okay. There is a Durand line also, but okay, but the thing is Afghanistan can be considered as a neighboring country, and India had a long term policy towards establishment of Afghanistan. The government of India trains many of the security personals of Afghan soldier in Indian soil, okay. The government gives training to the legitimate security personals in India, and at the same time the government of India helped Afghanistan in establishing their parliament building, okay. India has established multiple developmental projects in Afghanistan. So India's policy is that like India wants a secure, safe and peaceful neighborhood. India wants a peaceful Afghanistan. So India supports the democratically established government, okay. Earlier India was not negotiating with Taliban at any level, okay. Still India has officially not declared that they are negotiating. But recently the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, he has visited Doha, and then like he had informal talks with the leader of Afghanistan, okay. It is not very recent, it's been like about a month now about that particular event, but like it was a back channel diplomacy. It happened because of a back channel diplomacy. But now what has happened, okay, now the thing is, in the last week the External Affairs Minister of India has attended two important meetings, okay, in the neighboring region of Afghanistan, and that brings into context about this particular article, which is leaving the past behind, okay. What is leaving the past behind? The Afghanistan has a history of 2 decades, like for 20 years the Afghan soil was witnessing the presence of foreign foreign armies, okay, for last 20 years, like armies from the United States of America, then armies from the NATO forces, they were stationed in Afghanistan. So like they were trying to push away the Taliban forces, but Taliban forces were very strong. They have had a resolute stand against all the foreign forces, okay. But now the United States of America has realized that it is a never ending war, and the United States of America is losing huge amount of money in maintaining its soldiers in the soil of Afghanistan for winning a war that is never ending, okay. So it is not going to win a war. That's why the United States of America has decided to take away its soldiers from the soil of Afghanistan, okay. So that was the context. Now let us understand the present scenario. So like it was the background of this particular topic, okay. So when they are talking leaving the past behind, past is the 20 years of presence of foreign soldiers in the soil of Afghanistan, the killing of thousands of people by the Taliban in the soil, okay. So that was the long drawn process, and meanwhile the Afghanistan has progressed a lot, okay, in the last 20 years, because like there was a democratically established government also in Afghanistan. It is still there, but Taliban forces are marching more towards interior regions which were earlier under the control of the democratically established government in Afghanistan, okay. So now let us understand what is the context of this article. So the events in the Central Asia last week, which India attended, saw Afghan's neighbors seeking solution to the conflict there, okay. So now what is happening, since the US forces are withdrawing, okay, NATO forces are withdrawing, Now the Taliban is progressing, okay, they are making progress towards the interior regions, okay. So conflict is increasing in the soil of Afghanistan. So neighborhood of Afghanistan wants that like their peace should be brought in Afghanistan as soon as possible. They are looking for a solution to the conflict in Afghanistan, okay. So the first week was a meeting in Dushanbe, okay, of the contact group of Afghanistan of Shanghai Cooperation Organization foreign ministers. When we talk about SCO, okay, what is SCO? SCO stands for Shanghai Cooperation Organization, okay, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, okay. So what is the nature of Shanghai Cooperation Organization? It is a political, economy and security alliance of 8 member countries. How many member countries are there in Shanghai Cooperation Organization? There are 8 member countries. Is India a member? Yes, India is a member. Is Pakistan a member? Yes, Pakistan is a member. China is a member. Russia is a member. These are the members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Apart from this, we have 4 Central Asian countries, okay. Only Kyrgyzstan is not there. When we talk about Central Asian countries, we talk about Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, etc. Okay. Only this like Kyrgyzstan is not there, and apart from this, like all the 4 other member countries are part of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So you should look for details about the countries of the Central Asian countries. There are 5 countries, okay. One of those countries are not member of multiple such groupings, okay. That country is still not a member of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. But 4 Central Asian countries are member of SCO. India, Pakistan, China and Russia are members of SCO. So you should look for details about what is the nature of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, what is the membership of this Shanghai Cooperation Organization, when was the last summit of Shanghai Cooperation Organization held, okay, where it was held, when is the next summit of Shanghai Cooperation Organization going to be held, okay, where is it going to be held. You should look for details about Shanghai Cooperation Organization, okay. So the External Affairs Minister had attended a meeting in Dushanbe, okay, of the contact group on Afghanistan of Shanghai Cooperation Organization foreign ministers. And the second, a Central and South Asian Connectivity Conference in Tashkent, okay. So the second meeting was Central and South Asian Connectivity Conference in Tashkent, okay. So Tashkent is the capital of a particular country, okay. Any one of you who can tell me like this is the capital of which country? Tashkent. Dushanbe. Someone has answered. Russia. No. This is wrong. Okay. Shiva has answered Uzbekistan. Okay. So like these are the things that frequently come in news. You should have an insight to look for little more details. Like if they have mentioned about Tashkent, some Central and South Asian connectivity conferences being held over there, this might be a very important place. You should look where it is located. Similarly, you should look for Dushanbe as well, okay. So I'm just helping you understand how you should go about understanding different issues, okay. You should like whenever you are reading a topic, you should think about the past, what might have happened. You should think about present, what is happening. You should think about future, what can happen. What is India's stand on it? How India has been maintaining relations with Afghanistan with this particular issue, like that. You should think on multiple dimensions, okay. Only then there will be clarity. You will be able to interconnect the things, okay. So let us analyze this particular issue, okay. So it says the meeting also took on a special salience due to their timing, okay. So these 2 meetings has happened recently, but these 2 meetings are very important. Why they have grabbed attention? These 2 meetings have grabbed attention because now the forces of the United States of America and NATO are withdrawing from the soil of Afghanistan. These forces are withdrawing. Since these forces are withdrawing, the neighboring countries, okay, someone has written something. Tashkent. Okay, someone has written something. Okay, see, you know, the screen is very far away from me, so like I'm not able to read it clearly. If you have to say something, you can speak to me. Okay, that will be more clear. Okay, so what I was saying, that now the forces of United States of America and NATO are withdrawing from the soil of Afghanistan. Okay, so the neighboring countries of Afghanistan are concerned about the, you know, peace and security of Afghanistan. Because if Afghanistan is not secure, if Afghanistan is not peaceful, then the people who are being persecuted against, the people on whom the brutality is being done by the Taliban forces, these people will try to migrate in the neighboring countries through the borders. Okay, if they migrate into the neighboring countries through the borders, not only those people will come inside the, you know, borders of the neighboring countries, but many Taliban forces may also enter. So it will lead to border infiltration issues. It will lead to internal security issues. It will lead to cross-border terrorism. Okay, so a lot of things are associated with this. Are you understanding the point? So that's why the, you know, neighboring countries are concerned. India is also concerned, and India has participated in 2 meetings within a week, because this is the time when US and NATO forces are withdrawing. If the, you know, if the neighboring countries are having a meeting and they are discussing that terrorism should be stopped in the Central Asian countries and nearby areas, especially in Afghanistan, what it does, it gives a message, it gives a signal to the leaders of Taliban that like many regional countries are not supportive of the war that is waged by the Taliban and the violence that it has created. Okay, so it is going to bring some kind of deterrence in the minds of the leaders of you know, Taliban as a group. Okay, so this is the thing. Now, just days after the US and NATO completed their pullout from the Bagram Air Base. Okay, so Bagram Air Base was one of the most stronghold and very important strategic location for United States of America in Afghanistan, because they have stationed their air forces personnel over here, Bagram Air Base, and most other key locations. Okay, US has withdrawn their forces from most key locations where it had a very strong hold. Okay, of particular concern are at Taliban's attack on border post, particularly the border within Central Asian countries, and the spin Bodlek Chaman border with Pakistan. Okay, so here they have mentioned about a particular, you know, I have highlighted this particular thing, which is the spin Bodlek Chaman border. Okay, this is a border between Afghanistan and Pakistan. Okay, this is a border between Afghanistan and Pakistan, and Taliban has started attacking the bordering regions of, you know, Afghanistan. Why? Because through these bordering regions, some of the neighboring countries are giving important supplies. Okay, they are giving supplies of food, they are giving supplies of, you know, armament and other materials that are important for the established government of Afghanistan to be in power, to maintain their, you know, hold into the regions that they earlier held. Okay, so that's why what Taliban has started doing, Taliban has started attacking on those key border locations, because they want to cut the supplies. Okay, they want to cut the supplies on those border locations, so that, you know, the support material may not come, okay, should not come to the government of Afghanistan. Okay, so this was the thing. So this is an important location that I have highlighted. You should note down this particular thing. You can also locate in your map after the discussion today. Okay, so now let us analyze in little detail about it. Okay, we have already understood about the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So Shanghai Cooperation Organization is being headed, or its member countries are the neighboring countries of the Afghanistan, because 4 Central Asian countries are part of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Pakistan, which is an immediate neighbor of Afghanistan, is also a member of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Similarly, India, China, Russia, they have different stake, and they have, you know, different, I mean, points of international relations with Afghanistan. So they are concerned about the security and stability of Afghanistan. Okay, so these members, although they did not outrightly discussed about Taliban, that Taliban is a terrorist force. Okay, so like like if we talk about international law, the word terrorism or the terrorist, it is decided by a particular country. Okay, so it changes from time to time. Earlier Taliban was being considered as a as a terrorist group, but now different countries have started recognizing Taliban as a legitimate stakeholder for the power sharing arrangement in Afghanistan. Okay, so that was the thing. So for India and the Central Asian states, the worries are about the violence at the frontiers and at the resultant refugee influx, extremism, support to transnational groups such as Al-Qaeda, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, ETIM, IMU, etc. as it happened earlier under the Taliban rule. Okay, so earlier when the Taliban was ruling over Afghanistan, at that point of time, various transnational groups like Al-Qaeda, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, etc. were being supported by Taliban. Okay, so these groups were earlier considered as terrorist groups. Okay, still people, many people recognize them as like this thing, I mean terrorist groups. But the thing is, now you can see even in the Hindu newspaper, they have mentioned transnational groups. They did not mention it as a as a terrorist organization. They have mentioned it as transnational groups. Okay, so this is the thing. Now if we talk about external affairs minister, so these are the things that you can read in your free time. I hope you have got the crux of this particular thing. Okay, so that was all about that particular topic. With this, okay, now what is going to happen in Afghanistan? The thing is, the Taliban is going to march towards gaining the central authority over there. Taliban is not in a position, and Taliban is not like they are not ready to discuss a power sharing mechanism with the government that was established over there. Okay, Taliban wants to take over the entire force, like entire authority of Afghanistan. But if we talk about the the established government in Afghanistan, although they were ready to some extent, okay, to share power with Taliban, but like this is something like choosing a bad option, choosing between two bad options. One of the bad option is negotiating with Taliban. Second bad option is coming into power sharing relationships, because like the standpoint of Taliban and the standpoint of the established government of Afghanistan are different. Okay, so these are the things. With this, now let us move to the next topic. This topic is important under Indian economy, which is there in General Studies paper 3. Okay, GS paper 3. Let us read the heading. This heading says, time to build a valuable economy. Okay, time to build a valuable economy. COVID-19 has brought home to us the absence from the economy of certain crucial services. Okay, now we need to understand what is the context of this particular article. The context is that this July marks the 30th anniversary of the economic reforms launched by the Narasimha Rao government in 1991. Okay, you might have read in NCERT book of 11th standard that like the government of India has come up with policy reforms, economic policy reforms in the year of 1991. That was known as new policy reform, okay, in 1991. And under that particular reform, we have brought multiple changes. One of the changes, liberalization, privatization and globalization. Okay, liberalization of the private sector, okay, privatization of most of the government PSUs that were earlier under sole authority of the government, and then globalization means like allowing, okay, allowing Indian people like Indian businessmen to export things to most of the countries, as well as allowing the foreign direct investment to come into India. So we have we have gone for LPG reforms. These are known as LPG reforms. Okay, LPG stands for liberalization, privatization and globalization. So these LPG reforms were brought in the year of 1991. Why these reforms were brought? Because in the year of 1991, in the month of July, the government of India was facing huge problems. In which area? It was facing huge problem in, like maintaining the reserves, foreign reserves. So we did not have adequate foreign reserves even to sustain 21 days, okay, or 3 weeks of imports, okay. So we did not have sufficient, foreign reserves. Foreign reserves are maintained by the Reserve Bank of India on behalf of the government of India, okay. So in 1991, government of India was facing balance of payment crisis, okay. What crisis? This is known as BOP crisis. BOP means balance of payment crisis. It means we did not have adequate, foreign reserves or forex reserve. It is known as forex, okay, forex. Okay, forex means foreign exchange reserves. Okay, we did not have adequate to maintain import. Like if we have to import something from outside, for how long we can import if we are not, making the payment. So like we had hardly 3 weeks of money so that like we could sustain the economy. At that point of time, okay, so the Prime Minister of India was Narasimha Rao. Okay, he was the Prime Minister, and the if we talk about the Finance Minister of India, it was Mr. So he was recently Prime Minister of India. Can anyone guess who was the Yes?
Dr. Manmohan Singh, sir.
Okay, so Tanshu has answered. So he was Dr. Manmohan Singh. Okay, so he was the finance minister at that point of time, and he has helped India in coming out of this balance of payment crisis. How? He has approached the World Bank. He has approached the International Monetary Fund. Okay, so he has approached these agencies for support, and these agencies, these agencies supported India with some conditions. They have put some conditions on India that you are going to bring some economic reforms in your country. You are going to restructure the economic pattern of your country. So under that particular thing, we have brought the LPG reforms. LPG stands for, can anyone tell what does LPG stands for?
Liberalization, privatization, globalization.
Right. So LPG stands for liberalization, privatization and globalization. So that time we brought LPG reforms. So it happened in 1991. What is the year now? It is 2021. How many years has it been? 30 years. So it's been 3 decades now since the LPG reforms. Okay. So now we are going to celebrate the 30th anniversary of economic reforms. Okay. So now the upcoming year or next year marks a very significant year, because in this year's prelims or this year's mains, you may expect a question with reference to like outcome of the economic reforms since 1991, like that. Okay. So what does this particular article talk about? This particular article talks about that like in after India became independent in 1947, India has so India has enacted its constitution, means like India has enforced its constitution in 1950, and so in the year of 1950 itself we have come up with a small economic reforms. And apart from this, in 1950 we had another economic reform in 1967, but these were not major economic reforms. One of the major economic reforms in India since independence was the year of 1991, and since then we have had small economic reforms. Okay, but this particular reform has helped India in bringing so many changes into the structure of the economy, and the economy has gained a lot because of this particular reform. But were we able to sustain the benefits of the benefits that we got from the economic reform of 1991? Probably not, because for most of the years the balance of payment was much higher than the 1991 level. But after the year of 2016, okay, before the COVID-19 pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic has hit India and the world in the year of 2020. Okay, 2020 and 2021. These are the years when we are struggling with COVID-19 problem or COVID-19 pandemic. But when we talk about demonetization step that was taken by the government in the year of 2016, after the demonetization, the economy has started going, or the economy has started declining, okay, after the COVID-19 pandemic. And after this particular thing, demonetization. So this particular article actually highlights that like how should India tackle the COVID-19 and what policy reforms should India think about, okay, because it says that like the COVID-19 pandemic has shown us those areas of the economy where we did not have proper infrastructure, we did not have proper things in place, and because of it, like we have faced huge crisis in the health sector. Why? Because on one hand, we did not have sufficient beds in the hospital to accommodate those patients who were affected by COVID-19, and at the same time, we did not have enough oxygen supplies to be provided to these people. Okay, so on one hand, the beds were lacking, oxygen supplies were not sufficient. We had very less number of medical professionals who could assist those patients who were affected by COVID-19. And apart from this, if we talk about those places, okay, where we bury or where we burn the dead bodies, these are known as like Shamshan Ghat in Hindi. Okay, so we had overcrowded Shamshan Ghats. Okay, we had overcrowded these places. Okay, so even dead people were not getting justice to be to be cremated properly. Okay, so this has brought into light the huge crisis that India faces in health sector. So this particular article suggests that like although we have got lot of benefit from 1991 economic reforms, but the reform that was brought in 2016 by the government of India through demonetization was not fruitful to the Indian economy, and so it was further exacerbated by the GST. So since the goods and services tax was implemented, okay, the economic activities has gone little down, okay, further down. Although it has helped the government of India in getting more revenues, but the thing is it has pushed the economy backward. Okay, so this is the thing that the article suggests. So in your free time you should read this particular article completely, because like it gives you a holistic picture how the economy has been growing since the economic reforms of 1991 and what are the challenges that we have faced in the Indian economy. Okay, and how financial we say that the Indian economy has grown, we have inadequate foreign exchange reserve, but the adequate foreign exchange reserves that we have, it is not because of the export services, or it is not because of the exports that the goods and services being made, okay, exports and goods and services that were made by the entrepreneurs of India. It was mostly because like people from outside, okay, they started investing in India, okay, through different means like foreign direct investment and foreign portfolio investment. Although foreign direct investment may be considered to be a stable source of money for India, but foreign portfolio investment is something that is not very stable. The moment investors get a sentiment that like the economy is not going properly, or there is some policy lacuna in the economy, the government is trying to put pressure on various sectors, the foreign portfolio investors, okay, they pull out their money from the economy. Okay, they pull out their money, and if they pull out their money, we will be faced with foreign exchange reserve problem, balance of payment crisis again. Okay, so it says like we should not solely rely on foreign portfolio investment for maintaining our foreign exchange reserve. We should focus on giving economic benefit for those sectors that are exporting the goods to outside, because we know that the services sector has been performing well. Okay, since independence. Okay, service sector has been growing, it has been performing well, and especially since the economic reforms of 1991, the services sector has grown enormously, and it has a significant share in the overall gross domestic product of India. But when we talk about goods, okay, goods and merchandise, so goods and merchandise are not into a trade surplus. Okay, goods and services are not into a trade surplus with, okay, with reference to foreign trade, because like we are importing more goods as compared to we are exporting the goods. Okay, so this is the thing. And so we should also focus on, okay, we should also focus on bringing stability into the economy. Okay, so you should read about this article in your free time. You will get a lot of understanding about it. Okay, so this article has talked about demonetization step of the government. It has talked about GST reforms. It has talked about like healthcare crisis, okay, inadequate health system since the COVID-19. Okay, so we have had multiple problems now, but like it is possible for us, okay, to revamp the economy, to rework on the structure of the economy, to stabilize the economy. Okay, so with that, now let us take another topic. Okay, so this is the fifth topic for the day. This is again an important topic. Okay, so this topic is important for the UPSC mains examination under social justice. Okay, although it may not be directly asked in UPSC, but like it is something that you may be concerned about. Okay, so let us see what is this topic. It says civil services aspirants to be heard today. Okay, so when we talk about civil services examination at this point of time, for general category people there are 6 attempts. So you can appear in the UPSC exam for 6 times, okay, until 32 years of age. So maximum age limit is 32. You are given 6 attempts. But what has happened in 2020, because of COVID-19 pandemic, many of the family members of UPSC aspirants have passed away. Okay, and many of the UPSC family members of the UPSC aspirants have lost their jobs. Okay, some of the working UPSC aspirants have lost their jobs themselves. So, and they were under severe mental stress. Okay, they were not able to focus on their studies. So under these circumstances, some of the people who were appearing for the last time in the civil services examination, because of their age limit of 32 years or because of the number of attempts. Okay, so people who were appearing for the last attempt in UPSC civil services examination, they were either adequately not prepared for the examination, or they were under severe stress. Okay, so some of them have appeared in the examination, some of them have skipped this particular examination. Okay, so this was the situation. Okay, because COVID-19 pandemic, like during that particular time, most of the states had lockdown. Some of the places had local lockdowns. So in this situation, like there were genuine concerns of UPSC aspirants that like they could not appear in the examination, or they could not prepare well even if they have appeared in the examination. So these people have demanded the government that they should be given an additional chance to appear in the UPSC exam. Okay, but the government was not in favor of giving an additional chance to these aspirants. So they have filed a case, okay, in various courts, and ultimately they have approached the Supreme Court of India. Okay, recently, earlier the Supreme Court of India had given a verdict that like they will not be given, like they have asked the central government, like what is your stand, like are you going to give an additional attempt to these people, or you are not going to give an attempt. So central government said like we will not be giving an attempt, but the Supreme Court of India is still hearing that particular case. It has not given its final word, and Supreme Court of India is going to hear this particular case today. It is going to give its judgment, okay, on this particular issue, whether they are going to give an additional attempt to these aspirants or they are not going to give an additional attempt. Okay, so I hope you understood this particular thing. Okay, you just need to read this particular article so that like you will stay updated with the developments with reference to civil services exam. Okay, It may not be asked in UPSC, but it is something that is of your concern because you people are preparing for the examination. Okay, so I hope you understood this topic. Now let us take another question topic for the day. Okay, so this topic is important under social justice. Okay, under social justice, the heading of the topic says curbs on Mastercard. Okay, curbs on Mastercard. So what is Mastercard? Mastercard is actually like, you know, it is a service, it is a financial service, and the owners of Mastercard or the parent company of Mastercard is located in the United States of America. It is a US based company. It is not an Indian company. But like if you go to a bank, you know, for a debit card or a credit card, you often get a card that is either a Mastercard or a Visa card. But both these cards, Master and Visa cards, are not Indian companies, they are foreign companies. Recently, the Reserve Bank of India has, you know, notified that like data localization is important. The Reserve Bank of India made it clear to all the companies, all the foreign companies especially, that like if you are, you know, if you are dealing with the data, financial data of Indian residents, then you should have an office located in India and you should have a backup or storage of all the data that you are processing in India. Okay, but earlier these companies, Mastercard and Visa, okay, they were processing these data, the financial data of Indian residents overseas. They were processing it over the cloud and they were storing these data in their country, okay, in USA. But like they were not locally storing these, you know, the financial data over here. Okay, so what like implication was it associated with? The Reserve Bank of India says, like, you know, one of the thing is it has ramification on national security. Okay, and the second thing it says that like since you are, you know, processing the data of Indian citizens, it is important that you should, you know, locally store these data. You should not store these data in foreign soil. Okay, so what has happened in the year of 2018? Earlier, the Reserve Bank of India has issued notification that within 6 months, these foreign companies who are processing the financial data of Indian citizens, they should store these data locally in Indian soil within India. They should not store these financial data outside in India. Okay, so most of these companies like Visa and Mastercard, they have started complying with the, you know, rules made by the Reserve Bank of India. And they have been, you know, notifying the central government, not central government, central bank. Okay, central bank means Reserve Bank of India. They have been notifying the Reserve Bank of India about the steps that they are taking to comply with the rules that are being framed by the Reserve Bank of India. Okay, so the Reserve Bank of India has issued notification in the year of 2018. Now it is 2021. It has passed 3 years. But like many of these companies were not able to comply with the regulations of the Reserve Bank of India completely. So recently Reserve Bank of India has stopped the Visa card, okay, and one more, you know, not only Visa card but one more, you know, similar card financial services provider in issuing further debit cards and credit cards. Okay, and recently, okay, so it has happened in the last week, but recently this week, okay, on Thursday, the Reserve Bank of India said that it has banned the Mastercard from issuing new debit and credit cards to customers in India with effect from July 22. So today is 19th July, but from July 22, after 3 days, the Mastercard will not be able to issue new debit and credit cards in India. Okay, because these companies, Mastercard, Visa, etc., they did not comply completely with the notifications issued by the Reserve Bank of India. Reserve Bank of India wanted it to be implemented within 6 weeks when it has issued the notification, but now it is 3 years since then. Okay, still the compliance has not been satisfactory as per the Reserve Bank of India. So that's why Reserve Bank of India has banned the Mastercard from issuing new debit and credit cards to customers in India with effect from July 22. Okay, so according to the Reserve Bank of India, the US card issuer has failed to comply with the local data storage rules announced by the central bank in 2018. Okay, this is the thing. The ban has unsettled banks operating in India that use Mastercard services to issue a variety of cards to their customers. Okay, so this is the thing. Okay, so now many of the banks, if we talk about market share of the Mastercard, okay, if we talk about market share of Mastercard holds, okay, 1/3 of the total market share in debit and credit cards. How much? 1/3. Let's consider 90 cards are being issued in India. 30 cards out of 90 cards are from Mastercard itself. So it is a significant stakeholder in Indian financial sector. Okay, Mastercard is a significant stakeholder in Indian financial sector. And this ban by the Reserve Bank of India is a hard hitting, okay, it is a hard hitting thing for Mastercard, okay, as well as for Visa. Okay, so now see, this particular thing is only being discussed with this particular reference, but it has some kind of diplomatic issues also associated. Okay, we discussed about Afghanistan, that US is withdrawing from there. Okay, recently Afghanistan has also not Afghanistan, USA has conducted freedom of navigation operation where in the Lakshadweep Islands. Okay, those are associated events. I am not going into deep about them, but I hope you are understanding these issues. Okay, so what is RBI's data localization policy? Okay, so it is important for us to understand what is data localization policy. Under data localization policy, all the foreign financial companies that are processing data of Indian citizens, okay, that are processing financial data of Indian citizens, they should store all these financial data within the soil of India, within the geographical territory of India. They should not transfer these data to foreign jurisdictions or foreign soil. If they have already transferred some of the data, they should delete those data as soon as possible. This was the regulation. This is the data localization policy of the Reserve Bank of India. Although the Mastercard had deleted its data in the foreign offices related to Indian citizens, but they did not set up proper infrastructure facilities in India to hold those data over here. Okay, currently most of these data are stored in the in the cloud. Okay, you might have heard about cloud storage, artificial intelligence, big data, etc., right? So it is associated with that. Okay, so in 2018 the Indian Central Bank had issued a circular ordering card companies such as Visa, Mastercard and American Express to store all Indian customers' data locally so that the regulator could have unfettered supervisory access. Okay, why did RBI want data localization? So that RBI could have unfettered or uninterrupted regulatory access over supervisory access over these data. This meant that the foreign card companies had to store complete information about transactions made by Indian customers in servers located within India. Companies were initially required to comply with these rules within 6 months. Okay, these companies were initially required that they should comply with these rules within 6 months. But RBI has also given some relaxations, and it has been 3 years. Now RBI has taken a firm stand that either you do it or you don't do it. If you are doing it, we will allow you to operate in India. Otherwise, we are going to ban your services from India. Okay, so this is one thing. But apart from this, India has also its own card that is known as RuPay card. Okay, you might have heard about this thing. Okay, RuPay card. So we will discuss about that. Okay. Do we write RuPay like this or we write RuPay like this? Anyone? RUPAY. This one, right? Okay. Okay, so India has its own card standard which is RuPay, And since RBI has banned these companies like Visa and Mastercard from issuing new cards, so it is going to give an additional advantage or competitive benefit to RuPay card, because it is an Indian card, and at the same time now if you go to a bank, they will not be able to issue Visa cards, they will not be able to issue Mastercards, they will only be having RuPay card, means like Indian cards only, okay, RuPay card they will be able to issue. So it is going to give a competitive advantage for a short term for Indian domestic cards, since since the time these companies do not comply completely with the regulation of the Reserve Bank of India. If any of the banks, let's consider State Bank or any other bank, does not comply with the rules made by the Reserve Bank of India, then Reserve Bank of India is going to take action against the domestic banks as well. Okay, that's the thing. So what reason did the RBI, okay, so what reason did the RBI give to support its data localization policy? The reason offered by RBI to back up its data localization rule was that local storage of customers' data is necessary to protect the privacy of Indian users and also to address national security concerns. Okay, two reasons. One of the reason is to protect privacy of Indian users, and second is to address the national security concerns. These are the two reasons that was given by the Reserve Bank of India to back its data localization policy. Okay. Consequently, Mastercard deleted Indian customers' data from its foreign servers and promised to invest in building local servers in India to store local customers' data. The RBI, however, has not been impressed. It has banned Mastercard from issuing new cards from July 22. Okay, so this is the thing. Okay, so I hope you have understood the crux of this particular article, that financial sector is being regulated properly by the Reserve Bank of India, okay, by taking some stringent measures. Okay, so this is about this is about other company. This is Diners Club International. So their card is also banned in India by the Reserve Bank of India. So what is the need for local data storage? So why do we need to store local data? Okay, what is the need? Experts believe that customers' privacy and national security are genuine concerns that need to be taken seriously. However, many also believe that data localization rules are too stringent, and they could simply be used by governments as tools of economic protectionism. For instance, they argue it may not be strictly necessary for data to be stored locally to remain protected. Okay, if you want to protect data, the only way to store it locally may not be the only solution. There may be other solutions also. Now most of the data is being stored over the cloud. Okay, so if it is stored over the cloud, so it is not localized anyway. Okay, it is not localized anyway. So experts believe that privacy concerns of Indian citizens is important, national security concerns is also legitimate, but this is not the only way that the Reserve Bank of India should pursue this particular thing. And experts believe that this particular provision may be used by the government to bring about economic protectionism. Okay, that's the thing. Broadly speaking, formal international laws, to govern the storage of digital information across borders may be sufficient to deal with these concerns. Okay, experts say that whatever international laws are already present, they are sufficient to bring these concerns, to bring solution to these two concerns: privacy of the citizens' data as well as national security concerns. But this is an added on thing that the that the RBI is doing. This is the viewpoint of the experts, okay, on this particular issue. So what lies ahead? Okay, what lies ahead means what is going to happen. So Indian banks that are currently enrolled in the Mastercard network are expected to make alternative arrangements with other card companies. Okay, the process is expected to take a few months, and their card business is expected to take a significant hit meanwhile. Okay, the RBI's data localization policy, as it burdens foreign card companies, may end up favoring domestic card issues like RuPay. Okay, so as I already discussed that like it is going to help the domestic card issuers like RuPay. Okay, RuPay, RUPAY. Okay, this is the thing. Mastercard owns about 1/3 of the market share in India, and the RBI's ban is likely to significantly benefit its competitors. Okay, then if we talk about RBL Bank, it is a domestic bank, for instance, has decided to enter into an agreement with Visa after the RBI's ban on Mastercard. Okay, although like Visa is also a foreign company. Okay, so it may be put under stringent restrictions by the RBI anytime. Okay, so this is the thing. So what lies ahead? So like you should just read this thing and that will help you to understand. Okay, so apart from this there were other topics also in yesterday's newspaper, especially the science related section, okay, of Sunday. If you read the science related section, there is a topic that talks about Mars. Okay, Mars is a planet in our solar system, and Mars has a core. Okay, Mars has a core which is much bigger. So if we talk about Mars, okay, let's consider just a minute. Okay, let's consider this. Okay, let's consider this is the planet Mars. Okay, so most of the part of the planet Mars is core itself. Okay, core is very big. Okay, so why the core is very big? Okay, earlier scientists had given some opinion about it, that like when a Big Bang has happened. Okay, so because of collision, the outside material, okay, outside material might have been might have struck and they have gone away. So like it was remained with the core only. But now the researchers are saying a different viewpoint about it. What is the viewpoint they are saying? They are saying that like the core is big in Mars because of solar flares. Okay, because of solar flares. Okay, so like they are giving some alternative opinion about it. So you should read that particular article, you will understand little more about it. Okay, that is related to Mars related data. Apart from this, in the science page itself there is another topic. Okay, that particular topic talks about the ban, the decision by the Maharashtra government that those people who are fully vaccinated, they can enter the state of Maharashtra without any without any recent test on RT-PCR. Okay, like RT-PCR is a test to check whether a person is COVID positive or COVID negative. Okay, so the state of Maharashtra has recently released a notification. Under that notification, Maharashtra government said that like that if someone is fully vaccinated, they can directly enter Maharashtra without any without any RT-PCR. So the author has written an article on it and he has criticized about it, because like people who are COVID like who have been fully vaccinated by COVID-19, they are not completely immune from COVID-19. They may get impacted by COVID-19 anytime in near future, and they may be a transmitting agent as well. Okay, so they can transmit the COVID-19 virus to other people. Okay, so the author said that like it is established by the World Health Organization and the Indian Council of Medical Research that like COVID-19 vaccination has some benefits, but the thing is it does not completely immune a person, okay, from any kind of like from being impacted by COVID-19. Okay, so this particular article talks about a criticism of the recent step by the Maharashtra government. It said this article said like there should be at least like 48 hours prior RT-PCR test for a person who is entering into a state. So that person has highlighted the importance of RT-PCR test. Okay, and you might have noticed that like we have COVID Self. COVID Self is a self-testing kit. Using this COVID Self, you can test yourself whether you are COVID positive or COVID-19, COVID negative, and it is being promoted, or like the brand ambassador of this thing is Akshay Kumar. You might have read about it. Okay, so it was in news, and like it is World Health Organization approved, WHO approved thing. Okay, so this is a COVID Self. It is a self-testing kit. Okay, so this is also an important thing. It is a factual data, but it is important. Okay, so with this, like, we have come to an end of today's session. Okay, thank you so much everyone for attending this session. I hope you have a good day ahead. So apart from this, you people who are attending online, if you have any question, any concern, you can ask me your question. I am here to answer.
Sir, some states are going to be distributing the food grains of the midday meals food grains to the students in the shutdown of the school times also. Some of the states are not going to be distributing. What is the reason behind of that one?
See, like you are saying that some of these states are like, you know, giving midday meal schemes, other states are not giving midday meal scheme, right? What is the reason behind it? So see, like there are many states. If you talk about Andhra Pradesh, okay, if we talk about Andhra Pradesh, there are some other states, they have their own, okay, they have their own midday meal plans. They have their own, you know, similar schemes. Their name is different, but like they are serving the same purpose. I guess there is Annapurna scheme, okay, I don't remember the exact name. So those schemes are, you know, doing the same thing as the midday meal scheme. So that's why, like, what they are doing, they are not implementing the midday meal scheme, they are implementing their own local scheme. And this gives, you know, some political advantages also to the state government, because like they are promoting this scheme under their name, their scheme name. So it brings, you know, their good picture among the people. This is one benefit to them, okay. And at the same time, so this is the central scheme is being not being implemented. That is another reason. Second, you are understanding the first reason, okay. The second reason is that, like, you know, the central government does not release the funds adequately to all the states at the same time, okay. So sometimes the funds are not released on a regular basis. It is not released, you know, the entire fund is not released. So because of resource crunch, some of the states, although they are willing and they have been implementing, but like they are not able to implement it properly. That is the other reason, okay. So there can be multiple reasons like this, okay. So like some reasons are that, like, you know, the state government, they themselves, you know, the materials are being released, but when it comes to implementation, the school authorities are not implementing it properly, okay. So that is the thing. Anganwadis, okay, Anganwadis are other things. There also, you know, the food grains are distributed. So you know, although food grains goes to the Anganwadis, but they are not distributing it among the students. So there are bureaucratic hurdles also. There is, you know, leakages, corruption is also there, okay. So a lot of issues are associated with that, right. So did you get answer to your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Any other question, anyone else, or you may be having? So Tanshu, Mitlesh, Mitesh, okay. And what's your name? Yes, you. Yes.
I'm sure, sir.
Okay, okay. Okay, that's all right. Okay, so I hope, like, you know, all your queries have been addressed. So thank you so much everyone for attending this session. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you. Take care.
Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.